Hi, welcome back to Property Law with Amanda. I hope you watched the previous videos. If not, I'll drop the link on the description, so do well to click it and watch. So today we continue on our due diligence series on the 7 things you need to do before you buy that property. I really hope you watched the previous video. There's so much for you to learn. So today we'll be going to the 5th point, and that is formal and informal encumbrance. What's encumbrances? Encumbrances is anything that prevents you from having peaceful possession over your property, and it could be formal or informal. Formal encumbrances are documented. For example, there's a mortgage, or you took a loan from a bank and your property is used as a collateral for that loan, then that's a formal encumbrance. With proper due diligence, you can discover if such encumbrance exists on that property. Then informal encumbrance is where it may not be documented, but it exists. For example, you're about to buy a property and there's a conflict of interest over the property, maybe between 2 brothers. Then that's a formal encumbrance. You need to go to either to intervene or ask the relevant question. And if you really want to buy that property, you could come up with a mediation process. Okay, so for the informal encumbrance, there may not be documents to show, but it exists that there's an encumbrance on that land, and you can find out from asking questions. Okay, for example, there are 2 brothers who claim ownership over a land. The land is good, you've done everything about the land, and you are interested in the land. You just try to make inquiries. You could just meet someone around the property and ask a random question, because most times there's usually informal encumbrance on the land. Probably 2 brothers are claiming ownership of the land, or 2 communities are claiming ownership of the land. So you need to ask the relevant question. For example, you're interested in a plot of land in a particular community, and you can walk up to where the land is. You could see individuals around the land, and you could just try to come up with a discussion. Good afternoon, sir. I beg, you know the owner of this land? And the man could just respond, yes, so now one Mr. Paulinus. He said, now Mr. Paulinus, but I think say now Mr. Ojiako. Yes, so na Mr. Ojiako, but Mr. Paulinus na the senior brother of Ojiako. You know that kind of thing. You've already gotten to understand that, they are actually brothers, that own that land. So you now understand where you want to take up from. It could be that the elder brother is a step brother, that the mother left the father, so he wants to claim ownership of the land, while the man you want to buy the land from is actually the legitimate son of the father. In that case, if you're really interested in the land, you can decide to go and meet Mr. Paulinus and get his own view over the land. Try to create a kind of settlement amongst both parties if you're really interested in the land. I have a case like that recently, where we have 2 brothers who we're claiming ownership over a land, and we got to know that if we settle them, we can have that land, because my client was really interested in owning that land. So when they're informal encumbrance, it's even much easier to settle than a formal encumbrance, especially if you're not aware of such encumbrances. The 6th point is pending litigation over a land. When you want to buy a property and you are aware, or you find out that that property is under litigation in court, you're not expected to go for the land. You're not expected to buy the land until the court has determined the ownership or the issue over the land. Where the owner of the property tells you that I've gotten a judgment in my favor. It's my land. What you're expected to do is to take the case file, the case number of that file, or to take the judgment and go to the courts to find out if there is no pending appeal over that judgment. Because where there's an appeal over the judgment, the higher court can turn over the decision of the lower court, and it could not be in the favor of the owner of that property. So these are things you need to find out about when you want to buy a land. You need to carry out your due diligence. So one cannot claim ownership of a land based on a judgment when there's an appeal over that judgment. The court has to fully determine the matter before you can go ahead to purchase that property. So the seventh point is government interest. By virtue of Section 1 of the Land Use Act, vests ownership of the land solely on the governor of the state to hold in trust for the people. This gives rights to the governor to earmark areas or portion of land of the state for purposes to benefit the people of the land or the state. This gives the right to the governor to earmark a particular area for road, for a school, pleasure park, whatsoever. So it's expected of you when you want to buy a property to carry out your due diligence to ensure that the land you want to buy, the government does not have any interest on it, no matter how juicy the land may be. Let me give you an instance. Recently, I was able to carry out due diligence for a client, and we're able to do the 6 areas of due diligence, and it was good, and he was willing to part with his money. The land was a very juicy one in a very prominent location. I had to advise him to hold on, let's do our due diligence on government interest on the property. So we picked up the coordinate and we went to the registry. Here in Port Harcourt, we do our search in various militaries, including Greater Port Harcourt. And unfortunately, the report shows that the government wanted to do a canal across that land. It was devastating. My client was not happy at all. But I had to advise him, we need to look for another property. Some people, even after getting this report, they go ahead to purchase such land. They feel, how many years? Government never do this now. Do you understand? And most persons, they don't bother carrying out this due diligence and they buy this property. But at any point in time, the governor can remember that project and want to start. And all the government needs to do is to serve you a letter of demolition. Imagine if my client went ahead to buy this property and he built this magnificent mansion, and maybe his grandchildren come around to visit him and is enjoying his dividends, of investment. Then after 6-7 years or even the 8th year, you are served with a letter, government telling you to vacate property, demolition. Your investment just goes like that. And the only thing the government needs to give you is a letter telling you they want to start that project on the land. You can imagine how devastating that can be. So that's why we cannot overemphasize the importance of due diligence. It makes you feel safe and secure when parting with your money. You will buy the land with absolute peace of mind. You can sleep on your bed, rest assured that you have done the necessary investigation and you are good to go for that property. And I want to put to you that it's important to note that due diligence is quite expensive and it takes time. So you might need to employ the services of a lawyer who is versed in real estate transaction to carry out proper due diligence on the property you are about to purchase. Most of my clients, their fears are, what happens if I'm doing this due diligence and the vendor decides to sell? This is where we prepare a contract of land sale agreement. I'm going to talk about this in our upcoming series. So I hope you enjoyed this series on due diligence. Please do well to like this video, share to your uncle, your family, your friends, diaspora. Keep sharing because they need to watch this video. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel and turn on your post notification so you are aware when new videos is dropped.